All right. We're ready to go, everybody? Okay. I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Hermosa Beach School District. Can we start with a roll call, Dinah?
Board Member Barrow.
Present.
Board Member Gardner.
Present.
Vice President Clerk Cole.
Present.
President Kluth.
Present.
4 present, 1 absent.
Great. All right. Moving to public comments, communications regarding closed session agenda items. Public comments from the audience of the board or for items on closed session or in person. Members of the audience may address the board regarding closed session agenda items. Comments from visitors shall not exceed 3 minutes unless waived by a majority of all members of the board. I don't see anybody in person here, so I think we will adjourn to our closed session.
this. Yeah, just to insert it.
It's from my computer.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to tonight's meeting of the Hermosa Beach City School District. This is our open session, and can we start off with a call to order, Dinah?
Board Member Barrow,
Present.
Board Member Gardner,
Present.
Board Member Bove LaMonica,
Present.
Vice President Clerk Cole,
Present.
President Cluth,
Present.
all present.
Thank you very much. All right, in closed session, we received information, nothing else to report, so we can now move on to the flag salute. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That's like 11 years later they changed it. What the heck? What happened? They moved the flag.
They moved the flag. That was a little bit disruptive. Apologies for that. All right. Can I get a motion for approval of the agenda?
So moved.
Thank you, Jen.
Second.
Thank you, Kathy. All in favor? Aye. Motion approved, agenda approved. All right, announcements. I think we get to start off with the best part of the meeting, the Valley Student Council.
Hi, I am Noah, Valley Student Council representative. We are excited to be here tonight to update you on what has been happening at Valley.
Hi, I'm Anha Kang, Valley Student Council representative. We are happy to announce that the Student Council Bake Sale at the Halloween Carnival was a huge success. We made over $1,800. We would like to thank all the students and families who participated by bringing baked goods for the bake sale. We had so many baked goodies and everyone was so excited to stop by to support our school. Thank you again for everyone who participated.
Last week, students participated in the first Spirit Games of the year. There were competitive basketball and kickball games, along with challenging puzzles and Mario Kart. The students had a blast and are looking forward to their next Spirit Games. Currently, the Yellow Lions are in the lead.
Hi, I'm Clara, Valley Student Council representative. Fall sports season has come to a close, and we would like to congratulate all the teams on a great season. With the close of the fall season, we are gearing up for winter sports. Tryouts for boys and girls basketball and soccer teams will begin soon, so be on the lookout for information from Coach Vasquez. We hope to see many students try out and wish them a successful season. There are many exciting things happening in classes on campus.
Hi, I'm Chloe, Student Council's Dance Commissioner. In 5th grade, students are learning about life science. Worms have been ordered and students are preparing to learn about ecosystems, food webs, and so much more. In social studies, students are wrapping their Explorer unit and will be soon learning about the 13 colonies.
Hi, I'm Mia Rose, one of Valley's Student Council Activities Directors. In STEAM with Mr. Kaplan, students have finished their VEX robotics unit and have begun building robots on their own. Students will be using coding as a component of their projects. In addition, students are also creating their own websites. They are having a lot of fun.
Hi, I'm Presley Clancy Simon, a Valley Student Council representative. In band, students have been so excited to learn from their new teacher, Dr. Clemens. Dr. Clemens is an experienced and skilled band director and musician who came out of retirement just to teach our Valley band. With his help, the band is mastering classic holiday tunes to make their next concert the best concert ever. We will keep you posted with more information as we get closer to the December concert.
Hi, I'm Claudia Sarna, Valley Student Council representative. In Art with Miss Ripley, students are creating trading cards and are also working on a 2-point perspective building project. We are excited to see how the projects turn out.
Hi, I am Jonesy, Valley Student Council Dance Commissioner. In Spanish classes, students are learning about feminine and masculine pronouns, adjectives, nouns, and verbs. Students also completed a project and presentation about their chosen Spanish-speaking countries. In Ms. Brown's, Ms. Gonzalez, Ms. Bell, and Mr. Hazard's classes, students are learning all things math. We are working on algebraic expressions, rational numbers, angles and polygons, and writing, solving, and graphing linear equations.
Next month, middle school will have their first dance of the year on Friday, December 6th from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. The student council will be choosing a theme soon, and there will be an in-and-out truck and a DJ at the dance. The dance will be held in Valley Gym, and permission slips will be sent out in homeroom classes.
Hi, I'm Lorenzo, Hermosa Valley Student Council Treasurer. In 2 weeks, there will be no school for the holiday break, from November 25th to the 29th. We look forward to being able to spend the time with our family and recognizing all what we are thankful for.
Thank you once again for allowing our student council to share what is happening at Valley. We look forward to sharing more information with you next month.
Thank you very much, students. All right, our next item is becoming an item of annual glorious tradition, the girls' volleyball recognition.
Thank you so much. So before we get started with the certificates, I'm going to invite our athletic director, Nate Vasquez, to come up and join us. But we want to congratulate our Hermosa Valley volleyball team. They're led by Coach Kashi and Derek for an outstanding 8-1 season and claiming the South Bay League championship. Woohoo! I will tell you, it is no small feat. These girls are impressive. When you go in and you watch them in the gym, you literally think you have stepped onto Miracosta Redondo Union High School. So it is really impressive. So your hard work, your dedication, and your teamwork have paid off, and we are extraordinarily proud of you. So we're going to invite each and every one of you that are here with us tonight. We're going to call your name, and we're going to have something a little special for you. So I'll meet you down.
Check, check. You guys hear me? Cool. Sweet. All right. So everyone's not here because we got to, you know what makes the team special is that we got kids that play club, and then we have kids that this is their first time playing. And so it's really fun to just have a good team like that where we have just all skill levels and we still win. So it's a lot of fun. So everyone couldn't be here, but I'm still going to just give recognition to everyone. So the first person is Brooke Bradford. Elle Braden. She is here. Coco Hanneman. Yes. Come on up. She's also here. Bella Henderson. Zoe Jones. All right, she's gonna get mad at me because I know I'm not gonna say it right. Sol Crachete. Did I say it right? No. Yeah. Say in the mic. Gianna Labella. Arbor Miller. Ombre Steele. Juliana Armato. Tristan Del Rego. She's gonna get mad at me. She's here. Chloe Shope. Kyla Twomey. Did I say it right? Toomey. And then lastly, Lily Vanderway.
So if we can have the board come down and take a picture with everybody. Girls, we're going to have you guys move right here in front of the microphone so we can see you.
want all of us?
All of us.
I don't think we can stand behind you.
You can squat down in front of it. Let's start to the left. We're gonna look at camera starting on the left. All right. Here we go.
The next board can maintain the standard of excellence we've established. Congratulations. Good luck in the upcoming club season. And thank you, Mr. Vasquez. All right. We'll give him a little bit of time. All right. We're moving now on to public comments. Members of the audience may address the board on any topic, regardless of whether it is listed on the agenda. However, the board may not discuss issues raised that are not listed on the agenda. Topics not on the agenda that are brought to the board's attention may be investigated by the administration and a report made to the board, either publicly or privately at a future meeting. Comments from visitors shall not exceed 3 minutes per individual speaker unless waived by a majority of all members of the board. So, are there any public comments tonight? Seeing none, we will move on to board reports. Looking at my colleagues, to my left, to my right.
I went actually with
Please.
Dr. Wilds to the youth advisory workshop, and unfortunately their bond did not pass, but they are doing amazing things, and we did some workshop items, and I'm just impressed every time I go to these meetings at all the hard good work that they're doing. So that's it. That's my report.
Thank you very much. Anybody else on the board for board reports? All right. With that, we'll move on to reports to the board and discussion, starting with R11-2425 Hermosa Valley FOSS Science Implementation. Ms. Bledsoe.
Good evening, board. So nice to see you this evening. Feels like it's been forever. I am excited to talk to you about science, which, as you know, is very much my jam. So we're going to discuss the implementation of FOSS, our full adoption that Sylvia tagged us through last year with a really robust implementation or adoption cycle, and now a full-scale implementation for grades 5, 6, 7th, and 8th grade. Thank you, Dinah. Maybe a lag. Feels like it wants to change. There we go. Okay, so what is FOSS? FOSS, this is an infographic directly from their site. I don't know what the grade, okay, got it, thank you. But FOSS encompasses all of these different elements regarding science instruction. So formative assessment being one that really drew us to this particular program, because as students practice with higher order questions or higher order thinking questions, they tend to produce better answers on exams like the CAST, but also it leads to better foundational understanding of scientific concepts as they progress through science. Reading informational text is also something that drew us to this particular publication, because informational text, as you know, is always a challenge for students being able to articulate their
understanding of a graph or read through a table. And so this text not only practices that informational text, but does it with the flair of science. There's also a ton of real world applications that are involved in this, very hands-on adoption. Why do we like this? We like this because we are getting students to talk about use high-level vocabulary through this informational text. It is fully aligned with NGSS, and for any of you that have been a part of science adoptions back when NGSS was relatively new, publishers were just stamping the letters NGSS, which is Next Generation Science Standards, on old school publications and calling it NGSS. This is actually a full revamp of integrated next generation science standards into a curriculum. And it also is wildly hands-on. So something when we were polling students and we were talking to parents on our adoption committee, Sylvia, you remember all of the conversations surrounding, we want students to be able to do science, not just read about science or do online activities, but invest in something that is gonna allow them to really have it integrated into their classroom. If you're looking at a FOSS unit 5, 6, 7, 8, you'll find these 5 different components, which I think is really help students predict what's coming next. There's always an introduction of phenomenon, something that is your hook from those of us that got our credentials not recently. But how do you pull the student's interest right off the bat? Then there's this hands-on investigation. And remember, we haven't done any reading yet. This is just us getting right into the content. Followed by data collection and results analysis, which, surprise, surprise, is acceptable to be wrong. So FOSS really encourages students to get their data analyzed and make corrections with it, not necessarily a roadmap or a prescriptive lab like they were doing in the early 2000s. NGSS is all about, here are the materials, let's work to investigate it. And then followed by the reading. So this is kind of the flipping of how science used to be, where we front-loaded with reading and then we investigated. An interesting comment from a 5th grade teacher last week was, by the time the students got to the reading, their comments were, we already know all of this. And I thought that was such an interesting comment from the teacher, because a lot of times the reading is what students are really challenged with, but because they've done so much investigation ahead of it, they found the reading to be really easy. Along with unit assessments that allow us to easily track student progress. Here's an example of 5th graders engaging in active investigation with excited faces. And for me as a science teacher, this really warms my heart, because what we're doing is we're allowing students again to really immerse themselves in the study of science. Here's an example of a 7th grade lab. In this, they were looking at mystery mixtures. So the teacher was tasked to make different mixtures, and then they had to calculate pH, look at salinity, and make predictions throughout their observations by tagging through various chemical combinations. So that higher order thinking. Teachers are also pushing students to write things more than like, it bubbled. And so that is, what do you mean by it bubble? Did it bubble vigorously? Was there a color change? Really elaborate on that, and that allows students to push their learning kind of even further. I would like to, before I read these awesome kid quotes, invite Lorenzo up for a second. He is one of our 7th graders that is experiencing FOSS. So I asked him if he could just make a comment about science instruction this year in Miss Shannon's class.
So I really like FOSS because it is very interactive and very fun to learn. Instead of like reading a book, it like from a book, it allows you to like be more interactive and like interactive learning.
And you're keeping a science notebook now, Lorenzo?
Yes.
What's in your science notebook?
Every time we do a lab or any science thing, our teacher, Miss Shannon, will give us a piece of paper to put in our science notebook and fill out.
And then how do you use that later?
We have notebook checks, which will help us study for a quiz, which we have one on Friday. And it helps us like study for it, and so we can know like what to do in the quiz.
Do you feel like you're doing more hands-on stuff this year than last year?
I think we're doing more than last year, yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Lorenzo.
Leading the witness.
I think one of the benefits of Miss Shannon's class is, well, really all science classes is, and I skipped over this when I talked about FOSS curriculum, is the cornerstone is this lab notebook. So being able to have something that you reference back. It also connects to industry-rated lab notebooks that actual practitioners are keeping. It's important to keep a record of your own authentic work, to sign the bottom, to show record of your study, and then to use that for any further investigations. You read these quotes, but my favorite is from 6th grade, Mr. Underwood's class. I asked one student, and the class said, "Can we just all contribute to the quote?" So they said they wanted me to read this at the board meeting out loud. "Science is a big W this year." The projects are fun and make your brain really think. But in the discussion, more than them generating this quote, what was exciting was hearing them talk about science. And I think that's really what we wanted through the adoption, is an engaging, exciting curriculum that gets students interested in the content so that they continue to build that skill because they want to, not because they have to. Teacher thoughts. So these are some of the things that teachers have said, and I polled 5th and 6th grade teachers of what are the positives. They love the increased hands-on, so I kind of tried to pair the positive with the challenge. With increased hands-on, there's a lot of prep. So there's a lot of extra kind of outside of the class work time or organization for the labs. They love that we bought all of the materials, and I think that's huge too as a science teacher, not to have to piecemeal Dixie cups and go buy alcohol or vinegar at the grocery store, but that everything comes in the kits. Standards-based roadmap. What we want is teachers to be able to know what is their starting point and what is their ending point so they can work to navigate through it. Having that standards-based roadmap really allows for us to ensure we're hitting all of those critical standards so that students are receiving the important content and curriculum governed by the state. However, it's a challenge because it's a change in what we've always done. And I very much fight back the concept that teachers are resistant to change, but I will say, speaking as a teacher, teachers are habitual. And so when we get a new roadmap, it forces us to really kind of pull back what we've always done and take a critical look of, where NGSS is going and where we need to get students at the end of the day. Also, having a physical and digital copy of the textbook, this was something that rang true with all stakeholders through the adoption. It was really important that we have that, and it's proving very beneficial to students. However, a couple things, not all documents are editable, which we've already communicated to the publisher, and they're working on some of those things. So, how do we know this is working? What is the measure for effectiveness? I think initially, it's cycles of assessment. Us asking students, us asking staff, how could we get better? What does this look like? What do you need? What could we work on over the summer to improve the beginning of school? Implementation. How much is this happening? What does fidelity look like? So getting in, really doing classroom observations, and then playing off of the instructional rounds that were so successful at Valley last year by getting teachers out of their classroom space and into other teachers that are doing this, and really with a critical eye, looking to see what practices are most effective in the classrooms. Data, huge. Looking at that unit data, the interim assessments, and then CAS data to help to govern our practice, because when we see how students are performing on a standardized test, that allows us to pivot and figure out what are our needs and where are our holes, or what holes do we need to fill in our Swiss cheese. And then we talked a bit about a spring audit of fidelity. So this is after we've been able to kind of consume that science. What do we need to do? Let's take a look at the pacing guides. Let's use those really coveted collaboration days to figure out what needs to happen toward the end of the year and how do we set ourselves up for success for next year. Also do an inventory check. So here are kind of our ideas regarding next steps. We need to make a decision regarding continued professional development. Do we stick with FOSS and have FOSS kind of come out and continue to support teachers? Is that what we need? Do teachers want to build this from within? And I think Dr. Wilds is a great leader in that. Really, that homegrown leadership is the best way to go about looking at our students, looking at our data, and come up with solutions with what we really need. And then maximizing those collaboration days. Because we are so lucky to have them here in Hermosa, it really should be an opportunity where we're tagging and planning and making sure that it's an incredibly robust agenda so that teachers can plan and be able to articulate what their needs are, and that I'm a part of that process, that Allison Montoya is a part of that process. Looking forward, I think For fifth grade, it's a lot. I think acknowledging that is important. Fifth grade is doing a lot with science. And remember, we're coming off of mystery science. So from mystery science to a FOSS adoption is quite a big difference. I think we're going to see that transition to higher effectiveness and understanding of science in sixth grade, so that gap will be much less. But I think the acknowledgement of the amount of work fifth grade teachers are doing to make this happen is super important. So really looking at their pacing guide and see how do we increase the number of lessons for 25, 26, and then for 6th, 7th, and 8th, increasing the percent fidelity. How much can we tease back from what we've always done and infuse more FOSS, just so that we're more consistent with regard to our fidelity and practices. I will take questions.
Thank you very much, Ms. Bledsoe. I'll look to my left first.
Thank you. I recall, I think, a conversation that we had when we first adopted this about speaking to the teacher ease of having all the equipment provided at one time, that the contract we have is going to do that on an annual basis.
Sylvia actually got us 7 years of materials and supplies, which is an incredible cost savings to be able to negotiate that, but it also places us in a position that's really solid for teachers. So it's not like something that's going to change, that's going to, force them to do something different, but we have the materials and consumables for 7 years.
And then pivoting to Dr. Wild's, that's about when a curriculum adoption normally happens in that 7 years?
Yeah, 7, 8 years is the gold standard. Yeah.
Thank you. To my left, to my right.
I don't, I mean, it's exciting. I didn't like science as a middle schooler, so I think this would be exciting for me. So there you go.
And I think the teachers are so excited about having something too from which to pull. We're seeing, less things being pulled from the internet, but then also just more opportunity to, again, increase those critical standards, exposure to critical standards with a roadmap. So you have very passionate, excited teachers to have this at their fingertips.
I would be.
Can you refresh any community members that might be watching and not remember when we adopted this and what some of the standards are in the neighboring districts, if this follows?
Do you mean NGSS or?
The FOSS curriculum?
Oh, FOSS curriculum hits everything. So one of the things that when we were looking at, are you talking about the 3 that we observed or the 3 that we interacted with at the adoption?
Sorry, I meant like, what are they doing in, say, Manhattan,
what are they doing in
Redondo?
other? So I know that STEM Scopes is one in our neighboring community.
Redondo Beach has Amplify Science that are coming to the end of their life cycle.
Okay, great.
So we could eventually, potentially, work with a bigger group of educators to get some
And I
FOSS
think
training.
regardless of what content or curriculum people are working with, we have high-level educators in the South Bay. So I think increasing interaction between us and the high school, that's something that we're working on, that vertical articulation piece, ensuring that our students are ready and prepared for 9th grade science. So we've met with Miracosta and Redondo science teachers as of last year to say, what are those soft skills that you expect students to come into? Is it microscope work? Is it the ability to balance equations? Is it, understanding measurement and conversion? And so teachers have provided us a bit of a roadmap regarding what they are expecting 9th grade science students to come in with. But I think those teacher positions are changing too. So ensuring that we continue to have a relationship with our resulting high schools is important. And then also looking laterally, Redondo, Manhattan Beach, El Segundo, Palos Verdes, of what are middle school teachers doing, middle school science teachers doing. And we recently started a principals consortium for South Bay. So we are able to tag back of, tell me about your adoption. What are you doing? What are your science teachers doing? Can we get into your classrooms? Why don't you come over 2 hours? And I think that's something to explore this year to kind of broaden our scope of understanding.
Great, thanks for bringing that up. I was on my mind as well as in terms of how well we're connected to the high school, so thanks for bringing that up.
I was going to ask, FOSS had a reputation years and years and years ago of having like giant boxes and things that would then like have to be stored in places. And since we now have 7 years of materials potentially, and I guess like what's our storage plan?
Part of the, did you want to?
No.
Part of the budget included some days over the summer that allowed teachers to take some of this equipment that they received and organize their back lab cabinets. We got rid of I was going to say years, but maybe decades was a more appropriate term, decades of stuff that isn't useful anymore. And the cool thing about FOSS is because it's so interactive, they're using live specimen, and the live specimen, for instance, Monday, 5th grade is working with red worms. Those all came last Thursday. So we were not storing 7 years of red worm because then we're dealing with a different problem. But we do have still those big bins. Luckily, we have the back facilities to manage a great deal of that once we've cleared out the stuff that isn't used anymore.
And is there any room for families or parents to come and help be lab prep volunteers?
Oh, did I just hear an offer for free labor?
I mean, I think there's a really great opportunity for the community to come and help with that.
Required.
No skills required. And some people, you don't even have to talk to kids. You just have
I
to.
think it's huge. I think actually that's something that was born out of conversations with 5th grade because it's a self-contained class and it's such a big new adoption for them. And they're not secondary science teachers, so they didn't take the CSET or have a secondary science credential. It's all very new. Next week, I'm actually tagging into, they read a book about a young lady with cystic fibrosis. And so the kids were asking questions about genetic diseases and disorders, and the teachers were like, hey, Miss Bledsoe. So next week, I'm gonna go talk to a couple of classes about cystic fibrosis and genetic diseases and disorders, and they're opening their new life science. So it's getting me selfishly closer to kids. But I also think it's important to acknowledge that it's hard, right? So this is high order vocabulary, tons of prep for teachers. I think the greatest need would probably be with distilling and setting up those labs in 5th grade, but teachers also want to do that ownership piece because they're the ones that are going to be running the lab. So Nikki Span, for instance, was like, I don't know, I feel like it's important for me to set it up. So I know exactly what the Petri dish looks like. I know exactly what the blue stopper looks like. But I think we welcome parents and help at every juncture.
And the last thing I was going to say, thanks to our lovely community that recently passed Measure HV, we've got money coming to build new science classrooms. So I don't expect you to have any answers to this, but I'll be eager to learn what our science leaders think, best practice science labs look like and work that into our designs.
Yeah, I think that'll be a lot of
Yeah.
good conversation.
Storage does matter. Storage matters.
Absolutely.
Like organization of the storage.
Yes.
My experience with FOSS is that it gets, it goes into.
Yeah. They come in these big boxes still, because I had it when I taught many, many years ago, and then you pull out the drawer for that particular unit. But yeah, they are big.
They are big.
They're big.
So definitely storage would be something, but storage in style, I'm assuming would be a part of the plan.
Great, good. I'm excited to see that. All right, any other questions on this topic? If not, thank you very much, Ms. Bledsoe.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
I think, is there a chance that we missed one of our prize volleyball players? I think we should recognize such exalted athletes. So, Mr. Vasquez, could you come back up, please? Thank you.
All right, we've been waiting for all night. Brooke Bradford.
Looks like she came from volleyball.
Yes.
Great job, Brooke.
Also, thank you guys so much for your support throughout the year and everything. Of
course.
Like that. I really appreciate it.
Thank
Have
you.
a good night, guys.
Thank you.
ABS, guys.
All right. All right, good night. Thanks, everybody.
Highest high heels ever, and I'm still.
All right. Our next item is R1224/25 Superintendent's Report on the Cell Phone Survey. Dr. Wilds.
Some super shocking information here coming after science. So thank you all. We wanted to follow back up after our last conversation. We built a survey for all of our stakeholders. The legislation does require what they call significant stakeholder input. So we surveyed, had a survey for our families, we had a survey for staff, we had a survey for our students. And so let's take a look at how they answered. You probably can guess. So just a little bit of reminder, Assembly Bill 3216 is the Phone Free School Act, and this requires that every school district, charter school, or county office of ed has to develop a policy to limit the use of smartphones by July of 2026. This bill builds on a previously passed law in 2019 that gave the districts authority, but really didn't require. It allowed schools to regulate, but didn't really require the regulation. So this allows for actual enforcement of any policies. So stakeholder surveys. What is significant stakeholder? Well, we had a lot of people fill out this survey. So we had 481 parents and guardians, 66 teacher and staff respondents, and 632 students. We only surveyed in grades 3 through 8. Finding, this is my favorite finding, should we have a cell phone policy? The theme of this survey finding is that teachers, staff, and parents are in very close alignment. We do have one significant stakeholder group that disagrees pretty solidly with having a policy, and that is students. Only 27%. Shocking, surprising. What are the benefits? I thought this was really an interesting, again, parents, teachers are very much in alignment around the idea that this reduces distractions, improves students' mental health, enhances social interactions, and you can see students disagree. We are raising these digital natives that have had these phones in their hands since birth, and so you can see that really kind of separating themselves and being able to step back and seeing themselves apart from the cell phone may be interesting. Students do agree that it does reduce cheating, and it's the only area where teachers and parents had a little bit of a discrepancy. What concerns do you have in regards to cell phone? No worries. Kids, our students really felt strongly that they needed the cell phones for emergency communication. And again, teachers and staff really felt that the biggest challenge would be the logistics of enforcement. So how are we going to enforce? And you'll see resistance from families. Families really felt like only 15% said there'd be resistance from families. So we have family support. Now we gave the choice of 5 choices. The first one being the banned model, meaning don't even bring it on campus, not even a bag, not even a backpack, ban them. That is very low. The option number 2 is what we call the silenced and away, the off and away. It's referred to a couple different ways. That was overwhelmingly the preferred option, particularly from teachers and staff. The cell phone hotel, and I like to kind of describe that, that could be either like a box in the classroom, little pocket charts that teachers have, and you have to put your phone in. In the comments section, we get a lot of comments from teachers, which I felt like they were pretty dead on. Having a hotel where students have to take their phone and put in, puts hands on the phone. And when kids have their hands on the device, they're possibly more likely to want to actually engage with it. Teachers also felt that this would take time away from their classroom to having to collect everybody's and then make sure it gets distributed at the end of the day, as well as when the court, especially at Valley, for instance, third period's over, you have to get the phone. Now the phone's in your hand while you're in passing period. And so we felt like it was defeating the purpose of not having them out and about. Yeah, it's an invitation to use it and to check it, that kind of thing. The locked pouch model, again, had a pretty low interest rate by teachers and students, a little bit higher for parents. One of the things to note, though, is if one of the concerns is having the phone during emergency situations, the locked pouch model works against that. We would have to have some sort of way to unlock them in the event of an emergency in each of the classrooms, and so there were very little interest in that on behalf of the teachers and the staff. And then finally, we threw in a 5th option, which is just kind of blocking down the area. Aaron, I'm so sorry. What do we call it again? Geofencing. And again, that had a very low interest as well. Consequences. So we asked about what people felt would be acceptable consequences. Obviously, students are big fans of just warnings. They'd like very few are interested in consequences. I don't know if that shocks anybody here. We thought about throwing corporal punishment in there, but we're in California. So warning came strongest for students. You'll see confiscating was, again, actually the highest for both parents and teachers. The confiscating the cell phones. Calling home, interestingly enough, kids not interested in a phone call home, but staff and parents were. We're going to install some payphones, and everybody's going to have quarters in their pocket. Yep. It's probably more than a quarter now. Detention and other disciplinary, and then having to take a course in healthy use of technology was obviously kind of the lowest. So our recommendations, one of the questions we asked in all three of the surveys is, should smartwatches be part of the policy development? And overwhelmingly, 80% of parents and 92% of staff said yes, they're the phones as part of the policy. Overwhelmingly, all three stakeholder groups felt that option 2, the off and away model, was the best course of action. We had a lot of recommendations in the, we had a question at the end, is there anything else you'd like us to know? A lot of folks felt strongly about having some sort of user agreement that would go home for parents that clearly outlines what the consequences would be in the event of their child having a phone and not following the rules, and that agreement should clearly outline what the discipline matrix is. Again, any policy that we develop needs to have an exception for medical plans, students who have diabetes, as well as have IEP accommodations that would be determined by their IEP team. And a lot of both teachers and parents felt that we should provide more education around helping parents understand how to better monitor their phones, how to set up parental controls, how to do all of that. And then finally, a review of Board Policy 6163.4 for Hermosa is the electronic devices board policy. Interesting though, there is another board policy from CSBA. It's 5131.8. It's a cell phone, it's a mobile device board policy. We've never had it in Hermosa, but we might want to consider bringing it in. A little bit different than just electronic devices. It specifically speaks to mobile devices. And most unified school districts are looking to put their policy in that board policy. It's kind of a little separate and apart from just electronic devices.
Just to clarify on that, I would think electronic devices is broader than mobile devices. Am I wrong on that?
It is, yeah. So computers, right. Tablets, those kinds of things are really, so for us, let me go back. So for us, we have 6163 that handles all electronics. We could amend that in our AR to include mobile devices. I would recommend though, we'll take a look at that and see if it fits, but maybe bringing in the mobile device board policy might be a better just fit for this particular instance. So timeline, so our hope is we will either bring a revised board policy for 6163, or we will present a new board policy for the 51, the mobile device. By December, we're gonna work with the Valley admin and our teachers to finalize our consequence matrix, create a communication plan with Eileen Levin, our Director of Communications, and then message, so that this could go live in January 2025.
I just think on the messaging, like, you got Hanukkah, you got Christmas, like, don't buy the device.
Don't send it,
like,
turn it off. Yes, yeah. Yeah, I feel like that shit may have been right up there with don't buy e-bikes too, but right there, yeah. But we feel very strongly about sending something home so parents understand. We have a program where we ask for some phones to be off right now. It's not entirely effective. And I think the Valley staff confiscates more watches and phones in a given day than we just look at Monique, she's probably got a purse full right now. And so really maybe thinking about the warning is what we're giving everybody in the agreement, and that we start heavy with less warnings and just confiscation.
And so just to take that though, because one of the issues we've seen is areas where there's more students and less staff, faculty supervision, like bathrooms. I mean, so if a kid has it in its pocket, it's often silenced and away until they go to the bathroom. So how are we monitoring behavior, encouraging behavior on that?
That will be a good question. Who do we have it at the entrance points, making sure? The reality is even folks that we've spoken to with the Yonder pouches, kids are really clever about putting fake cell phones in the pouch and keeping the real one in their pockets, or figuring out a way to buy a magnetic release on Amazon. And what we say right now to kids is that we ask that it be in their backpack. Really proud of Allison, Montoya, Monique, and Jessica for stopping backpacks going into bathrooms. And so it's really being out and kind of seeing what are they doing. A lot of the phones are coming out, the last bell rings, they're coming out before they even leave the campus. Texting as they're even in the quad, they're not even out the gates yet. So a lot of this will just have to be increasing people we have out there and monitoring, yeah. And knowing that we have, that parents are aware and teachers know we have their backs when they take it. It goes to the office, and maybe instead of kids picking up, parents have to pick them up, right? We increase the uncomfortableness.
Other questions?
I have another question. Are we going to include, I was just looking at the LA Times article this morning, and it just talks about their ban, or the ban will apply to smartwatches, other devices, anything that uses a Wi-Fi or cellular signal to send text or access to social media, as well as earbuds and smart glasses. So I just wanted to, earbuds I know are just, I don't want to be the anti-earbud person, but it's going to,
I think I think they're trying to really kind of keep it kind of open and broad. When we look at we'll send kind of draft versions of the policy for folks to see. We don't want to make it so specific that then we've locked ourselves only into one or two things.
Right.
So earbuds, I don't know that we have kids that we've gone down that road, but hopefully we're not tackling glasses. Yeah, for cheating, or they listen to music.
And is it going to be K4 also?
Yeah.
Because you just said the Valley.
Right now, we got a lot of teachers and parents in the younger grades. We have a lot of kids at Vista coming with smartwatches that are going off frequently throughout the day.
So some of this is going to get implemented in January. When this first came up early in the school year, or maybe it was even before the school year started, there was some talk about we kind of have the silence in a way in place, but it's maybe not always
effective.
super effective, or not always enforced evenly. Are we already moving down the path, or are we waiting till January to make any changes, or have we already sort of standardized how we enforce?
The next step after tonight is what we will meet with the Valley team, including the teachers, their leadership team, to really talk about, we all have to be on board, right? Yeah. We can't have one teacher who's like, it's fine, have it out so you can listen to music, right? We have to have collective agreement, because the policy is only as good as the weakest link, yeah.
Okay, all right, good, thank you. Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Absolutely.
All right, with that, we can move on to the consent items. Can I have a motion to approve consent items?
So moved.
Thank you, Doug.
Second.
Thank you, Jen, for the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passes. All right. Moving from there on to board action. Starting with S20-2425, updates to board policies and administrative regulations. Dr. Wilds.
Yes. So as is our process, Hermosa Beach routinely reviews board policies and administrative regulations to ensure compliance and adherence to changes in ed code, the legislative action, legal decisions, and local needs. Before you tonight are 12 board policies or regulations, and staff recommend you approve these updates.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
Yeah.
I have 3 areas on it.
Yeah.
Let me find them. The first one, I thought there was a really interesting pullout on recycling food. That I know we have talked about how to adjust the size of portions for it. And so this one, I don't think we're doing it right now, but it literally says pull aside a table where you can return appropriate unused cafeteria food items as a way of doing food donations. So if we haven't already done that,
Yeah, we can talk.
We
Paula
do
can
have a
talk.
share cart
share cart.
at each campus, 2 at Valley. So anything that a child doesn't want, they put in the appropriate bin. Anyone can come and get it. If it's reusable, we'll store it again and serve it the next day.
Great.
Yeah.
I was
And
under the impression we were throwing stuff away.
Yeah, and I am working on a food diversion program. I'm just having a little bit trouble getting them to contact me back.
Excellent. The second one was off of the design build contracts that are in there. And so there's some time limits that are coming up. And I know previously we have looked at design build contracts with Measure S. And so there's 2 different time things that I just think we should be aware of as we're looking to move forward on Measure HV. And then the third one was on, I'm not going to find it in
Academic honesty.
Academic honesty.
Yeah.
Thank you.
AI.
AI.
Yes.
Yep, I knew
Yeah.
we talked about it.
So there's really these 3 that are kind of looped together. So academic honesty, student assessments as a homework, all are amended here because of the legislation and kind of the changes around AI. So none of these 3 expressly call out AI, but what they do is they just give some greater clarification around homework, for example, saying that in academic honesty, that you can't use something like AI for the sole source of completing the work, right? And so I believe it's in paragraph either 3 or 4, really just talks about that, what some ways this can be used. It can be used to help you with your grammar. It can be used to help you in editing. It can help, but it can't be used as the sole way to solve a math problem.
And I know we have an AI committee right now, but how are conversations like this board policy and the AI group matriculating down to teacher instruction with students?
Yeah, so at our last Thursday leadership meeting, these 3 specifically, because these are the most 3 that impact teachers in classrooms, we reviewed as a leadership team. We went through them and we talked about kind of the general Cliff Note version of what they mean, but really kind of pointed out some paragraphs to bring to teachers' attention, right? Because we don't want to say AI can never be used as a form of homework, but how can it be used, right? This idea. So we provided this to our school site. We went over it, provided copies to the school site principals, as well as a Cliff Note version, and then they're redelivering it to their staffs, particularly at Valley. So Jessica's working on this with her team. Mm-hmm.
Great. Any other questions? All right. If there's no other questions, I need a motion.
So moved.
Thank you, Doug.
Second.
Thank you, Kathy.
Yeah.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Moving on to S21, 24, 25, proposal for Diligent Community Essentials. Dr. Wiles.
Yes. So Diligent Essentials, this is the new name for board docs. So if anybody's familiar with other districts, they call it board docs. This is just their new branding. Diligent Essentials is designed for small school districts that have smaller needs than the full suite. But this is a school board governance platform that helps create a secure and productive collaborative environment between leadership, the board, and the greater community. This platform allows for a more efficient agenda creation, board member annotation, so you'll be able to annotate notes right in there. So if there's something you want to pull or discuss, you'll be able to make those notes live for yourself. One-click print that will probably save Dinah hours of her life on Friday afternoons. Enhanced accessibility and safety features, as well as the most important thing for us is a powerful search capability. Currently, when our board our minutes and our agendas are posted, they're posted as one large PDF document. So if you are a member of the community and you are looking for discussion around the bond resolution, you really have to have some working knowledge about when approximately that discussion took place. This way it allows you to go in and you can say bond resolution and it will pull up those items directly for you. So it just adds greater transparency to the greater community. Staff recommend you approve this proposal and purchase.
Great. That sounds fantastic. If there are no questions,
No.
no motion.
No.
So moved.
Thank you, Doug.
Second.
Thank you, Kathy. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, moving on to S22, 24, 25, approval of an additional regular meeting of the Board of Education. Yay.
We're gonna sneak about 6 in before you two leave.
Great.
So
Wait, you said earlier we didn't have to come.
yeah, stay with me with this timeline. So in December, HBCSD is set to hold our regular business meeting on December 11th. We've had that on the calendar forever, but we must also now add our annual reorganization meeting as a separate meeting. So unfortunately, California Education Code requires that any organizational meetings be held within a 15-day period that doesn't start until the second Friday of the month of December following an election. Super clear education code. And so therefore, we are adding just an organizational meeting. The education code also requires the school district to select a date for this organizational meeting at the first meeting in December, but within 15 days prior. So December 11th does not give us enough time to set a meeting. So we're doing it tonight. And we have to notify county superintendent. Therefore, staff recommend you approve the addition of a regular organizational meeting on Wednesday, December 18th at a regularly scheduled 5 p.m.
And this will be a shorter meeting without a closed session, I expect?
Yep, just organizational.
Got it. Okay. Any questions? I'll ask for a motion.
So moved.
Thank you,
Second.
Maggie and Jen.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. All right. Moving on to business, B 50-2425, placement agreement for California State University Fullerton. Ms. Gluck.
It's recommended that the Board of Education approve the learning activity placement agreement with Cal State Fullerton for a student to observe our occupational therapist.
Are there any questions on this item? Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion.
So moved.
Thank you, Doug.
Second.
Thank you, Maggie. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. All right. B 51-2425, addendum to LACO Human Resources System. Ms. Montalvo.
Thank you. Approval is recommended of this addendum to contract C 24013 to hold harmless agreement in support of the Social Security numbers. So HRS is our legacy system, and we still are required to keep those Social Security numbers secure.
Sounds like a good idea.
Yep.
Safe.
Could I have a motion? If
So
there's no
moved.
questions? Were there any questions?
No question. We moved. Second. Kathy moved, I second.
Oh, fantastic. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We're moving right along.
Passes. You guys are so fast. All right. Moving on, B 53-2425, notice of and request for consent to assignment of services agreement / notice of termination. Ms. Montalvo. Did I miss one? Oh, I did. I missed one. Pardon me. Let me go back. B 52-2425, right? Addendum to LACO Best Advantage System contract. Ms. Montalvo.
Again, approval is recommended of the addendum for contract C 241120. This is the new system, HCM Best, and we're going to hold LACO harmless on this and adhere to the guidance.
That sounds fabulous.
It looks identical.
It is. It's two systems, so the legacy system and the new system that we're implementing this year.
Perfect.
Great.
No questions.
Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you for the second, Maggie. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, passed. Now we can go to B 53-2425, notice of and request for consent to assignment of services agreement of notice of termination. Ms. Montalvo.
It is recommended that the Board of Education consent to the assignment of the agreement to Business Solver as presented, ensuring continuity of services under the current contractual terms. The assigned agreement shall remain in full force and effective without alteration. So eBenefits is selling their business to Business Solvers. They're assuming the contract. Nothing is going to change for us.
Okay. Any questions on that item?
Nope.
Nope.
If not, may I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Jen.
Second.
Thank you, Doug. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed. Great. B 54-2425, proposal, SVA Architects, design of the Tencate Turf Field at Hermosa Vista School. Ms. Montalvo.
It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the proposal from SVA Architects to design the Tincate turf field at Vista School. The cost of this project will come from Fund 21, Measure S.
Great. Fantastic. Thank you, community, for that. That's Measure S. That's the prior, right? Okay, great. All right. Any questions? Okay. Seeing no questions, may I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Doug.
Second.
Thank you, Maggie. All in favor?
Aye.
B 55, 2425, resolution number 6 for the adoption of purchases through the California Multiple Award Schedule for the new Tincate Turf Field at Hermosa Vista School, Valley Precision Grading, Inc., contract number 42305-1021. Ms. Montalvo.
It is recommended that the Board of Directors adopt the California Multiple Award Schedule, or CMAS contract, 042305-1021, for the materials and labor required for the installation of the Tincate turf at Vista.
I'm really glad this one came up because I wanted to ask a question, the last one, just about the timing.
Yeah, that was my question too. No, that was my question.
I thought it was my question. Wait, what about my question?
So timing of this turf?
Yes, please.
Well, hopefully, right now, our kids are playing on dirt. So we'll talk to Nancy when we have our construction meeting on Monday, and we should get a better idea of the timeline, and I'll put it in my Friday update.
Probably by Christmas, right, Nancy?
Merry Christmas.
It does help that we're using SVA. That means all of the engineering has already been done.
Yeah,
Right,
no,
so-
that's fantastic. All right. Any other questions? If not, can I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Doug.
Second.
Thank you, Jen. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, passed. Make sure I'm not missing one. All right, B 56, 2425, proposal for Hermosa View School, multipurpose room, water bottle filling station installation from Platinum Plumbing. Ms. Montalvo.
It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the proposal for Platinum Plumbing for installing the LK water bottle filling station, which was awarded by SoCal REN. If you remember, a few months ago, early summer, last June, SoCal REN came out and offered us a number of programs. So this was a rebatable program.
Oh, that's awesome.
Great. Sounds good. Any questions?
This is just for view.
Yes.
Okay. Other questions? If not, can I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Doug. Thank you for the second, Maggie. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes. All right. B 57, 2425, proposal for Hermosa Valley School, multipurpose room, water bottle filling station installation from Platinum Plumbing. This sounds familiar. Ms. Montalvo?
Yes, ditto. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve this system at Hermosa Valley School.
Oh, just like last time, we've got questions on the second one.
It was just, I know there's already one of these at Valley, so where is the second one going, or is this a third one?
This third one is going into the NPR.
So if you're in the NPR at Valley and you're facing the stage, to the left, there's a double door that goes into the district office. There's a water fountain right there that's not a water filling station. Two things: A, it allows students to access water if they're in the NPR, but it also allows district staff to be able to access water filling station without having to walk through students and across campus.
Okay, great. Vista already has enough?
The Vista, yes, has enough right now.
Okay.
The View one would also be in the NPR. Currently, there's not one there, it's just a water fountain. And this would allow all the students from STAR after school to be able to access it and not have to walk across campus to fill their water bottles.
Perfect. We were just discussing this today in my house, since my daughter didn't know where at Maricosta there were these filling stations, except one place in the gym. So maybe we need to recommend it.
Interesting. They're all over the place.
They might be.
Have them call,
Excuse me.
have them call
There's 20
SoCal
of
Ren.
them.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions? Ms. Montalvo, do you know where they are at Maricosta by any chance? Okay.
In the quad, there's like 4.
All right.
When I walk between the band room and the stadium, I pass like 4 of them.
This is just a PSA. All right. Can I have a motion on this?
moved.
All right. Thank you, Jen.
Oh, sorry.
Can I have a second?
Kathy got a
Second.
second.
Second, Doug. Thank you.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed. Great. Two more items. Personnel, P19, 2425. Contract, certificated employment transaction, Hermosa View School interim principal. Dr. Wilds.
Yes. So to ensure enhanced administrative support for students, staff, and families at each of the 3 school sites, we're recommending that the Board of Education approve this contract with Sandy Scora to serve as an interim principal from January 21st, 2025 through the end of the school year, during which time we'll engage in a rigorous principal hiring process. Ms. Scora brings over 35 years of experience, and in particular 14 years as an elementary school principal. Staff recommend you approve this contract.
Are there any questions or comments?
Is it way overdue? So good. I'm glad we're doing it. Yeah, this was something just for the public to know. We heard a lot from the staff that this was a real need.
The number one ask when I go to any snacks with the superintendent, the listening and learning. It is, and even when people talk and we keep coming back, as I leave, they say, but don't forget, that's our number one ask, if you can only give us one thing, so.
And our assistant principal at Valley will now just stay permanently.
She'll stay permanently at Valley and be able to support those programs and cell phone implementation.
Right. Thank you.
Amen.
Great. And I applaud the approach you're taking as well, Dr. Wilds, in terms of bringing somebody experienced while taking the time to make the long-term hire properly.
We want
Kudos
staff
to
and
that.
families to feel supported.
Yeah.
But
kudos
we
for
also,
that.
but getting the right person is important.
Yeah, and it'll give us a chance to hear from staff and parents and
Yes.
and make that a good hire. So kudos to that. All right. Any other thoughts or questions on that one? Could I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Doug.
Second.
Thank you, Kathy. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Great. Last item. P20, 2425, memorandum of understanding between Hermosa Beach City School District and the Hermosa Beach Educators Association. Dr. Wilds.
Yes, so this is a memorandum of understanding between the district and HBEA. The certificated, so to clarify, this is not for certificated and classified, just for certificated, to establish an extra duty rate of pay for certificated personnel for any work performed outside of their contractual hours that is not an established job function or an assigned responsibility. This will allow us for greater budgeting and budget predictions and be able to monitor our spending. Staff recommend you approve this agreement.
So just for the public, this is about allowing us to have a known set schedule for these kinds of responsibilities and be more able to predict budget needs. Okay, great. Any other questions or comments? If none, can I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Jen.
Second.
Thank you, Kathy. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion is passed. With
Yeah, I
that,
like it.
we will move to the board member roundtable.
Want me to go?
Go ahead, Kathy.
I just want to thank the community and everybody who was involved in all the walking and door knocking and all that stuff to get Measure HV passed, because it's going to help us tremendously. So there you go.
I second that. And also just wanted to ask Dr. Wilds, can you just remind us when, or if parents will be getting information about wellness committee and equity and.
Yep. So an email will be going out Friday to solicit volunteers, anybody who wants to be part of the Equity and Inclusion Committee. That'll go out Friday afternoon. The Wellness Committee has already gone out. We have our first meeting next week, I believe at 9 a.m.
Yeah, I know. Just, yes.
Any other questions? Doug, Maggie?
I'll third what Kathy said. Thank you to everybody's hard work and, to the community for passing the bond. It's going to be awesome. So.
Yeah, it was heartwarming to see that level of support, and I just want to thank Steve Eisant in particular. He was somebody who led our Citizens Oversight Committee on Measure S, and I think that gave him up close personal knowledge of the good job the district did with Measure S, spending its money, doing it prudently, having excellent project managers to make sure it was all completed on time and on budget. And when the person who audits you last time steps up to lead your campaign, the second time, that's a real vote of confidence, and the amount of work and time and dedication he put in was amazing. So I just wanted to publicly acknowledge and recognize him for that tremendous work. And thank you, of course, to the community for supporting it and supporting our schools. I think Valley 3-5 years from now is going to be amazing. It's already a great school, but it's going to be physically amazing, on par with Vista and View, and we will be the envy of all of LA County if we aren't already.
I think an appropriate way to thank Steve would be for everyone in the whole community to send him an email. And he'll get that. He'll get that. It was a real struggle to get people to respond to his emails, but he sent great emails.
All right. All right, great. Well, on that high note, if there's nothing else, I have a motion to adjourn. Thank you,
Second.
Maggie. Thank you, Jen. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting is adjourned.